Hi all, welcome to Cyber Warfare Lab's AWS Cloud Red Team course. In this module, we will discuss about how we can take advantage of EC2 instance to perform a privilege escalations. So basically, you're going to taking advantage of EC2 instance to escalate our privilege. Suppose initially we don't have the privilege, the user we compromised, and we want to access other services in EC2s. So we have to find out how many roles are there, what are the instance profile, how we can take advantage of those profile to attach to EC2 and perform the privilege escalations. So let's discuss a simple example here. So you can see here in this diagram, suppose we compromised a user and this user only have access to EC2. That means this user can create a EC2 instance, this user can destroy the EC2 instance, and this user can perform the action on EC2. Other permission this user can attach the roles to this EC2 instance. So this is really important because if this user can attach this role, this will create this user have a pass roles rights. And if the pass role rights is star, that means you can attach any roles to this EC2. Even if there is an administrator role, you can attach this role to this EC2 instance, and you can access on behalf of administrator role to perform whatever operation you want. So this is how they can perform the privilege escalations. So you can see here this user have only EC2 instance access. So if this user want to access AWS services directly, it's not allowed to do anything like other IDS, Lambda or other services. He unable to access it because he doesn't have a rights to access those services. But he can create the instance, he can destroy the instance. So how this user can perform the privilege escalation? So we found that this user have a two permissions. One is administrator permission on EC2, so he can create, destroy, launch, all these things. Second one is he can pass the roles to this EC2. And when you're talking about the pass the roles, he have rights to pass any roles to this EC2. So first thing here to identify is there any roles is available. So when we're talking about roles, two things you should keep in mind. One is there is a role, that means you can create a role for AWS services like Lambda, EC2, S3 or whatever services is there, and you can attach those roles to the particular services. Second thing is for EC2, there is called instance profile. So instance profile is similar to EC2, similar to role, but it is only attachable to EC2 instance. So suppose if you create a role using a console, by default this console create a set of instance profile. So suppose if you create a role that EC2 instance can access the S3, this console automatically create an instance profile for the same name, the name which we have for the roles, and this profile is attached to EC2. So first we have to identify how many profiles, instance profile are there. So this is the first thing you have to do. You have to identify how many profiles are there. First we identify, okay, there is a higher privilege profile. That means they can perform much more access. They have much more access than the initial one on the AWS services. So once they identify this profile, they can attach this profile to this EC2, or they can attach directly to the new the running EC2, or they can attach this profile to a new EC2. So they can create the EC2 instance and can attach the role to this, or attach the profile to this EC2 instance, and then they can access all the services on behalf of the role which is attached to this EC2 instance. So this is how they can perform the privilege escalation, which is initially not there. So let's practically demonstrate how we can do that. Okay, so you can see here I already configured the user which I compromised. I already configured the CLI, access key and credentials. So let's check what user rights I have. I'm going to specify the profile name. The profile name which I configured is SRV EC2. Okay, you can see here I compromise this user, SRV EC2 user. Let's check what other rights does this user have. Let's access S3, ls. So you can see here this user doesn't have access to access other services on AWS environment. Let's check what is roles, or what are the permission which is attached to this profile or this particular user. So first we have to identify. So first we identify this. This is the username. This is the account we compromise. Is belongs to this user, SRV EC2. And what rights does have? So first we have to identify all the managed policy which is attached to this user. Let's copy this one, paste it. Username is SRV C2. Profile is also the same name. You can use the different name for this profile, but I use the same name. Okay, so you can see here there is two policy which is attached to this user. One is seems like Amazon EC2 full access, which is a AWS managed policy. That means you can this user have a full rights on EC2 instance. And second one is user EC2 pass role. Let's see what permission does this policy contains. So second thing, we have to identify the policy, retrieve the information about a specified version of the specified managed policy. Let's copy this one. Let's open a new tab. Version name I identify V1. Let's see, and policy ARN. So let's identify the first policy. Seems like AWS managed policy. Let's copy the ARN here. Paste it here, and at the end you have to also check the. Okay, so let's specify the profile name SRV EC2. Perfect. So you can see here we have a EC2 action, EC2 effect, allow resource all, load balancer, cloud watch, auto scaling. So that means we have a full rights on EC2 load balancing, cloud watch, and auto scaling. So this is the administrator policy for EC2 instance, and this user have a rights. What about the another policy we have? So we have one more policy. Let's copy this one also. Let's change the policy ARN here. Let's paste it here. This is the policy name which is attached to this user. Okay, so you can see here I have this pass role rights, and we have pass role rights means you can attach the roles to EC2 instance, but like this is a journal thing, and it should be there, because if you EC2 admin, it should be have this kind of role, this kind of policy attached to it. But what's the bad thing here? The bad thing here, we have to specify the role name so they can attach only those roles to here. Here we specify star, that means this user can attach any roles which is there for EC2 instance, or any instance profile to this EC2 or any EC2 which he wants to create. This is a really important to understand the privilege escalation. So there is only star that is creating a problem. If you specify only S3, suppose this users, he can only attach the S3 access roles to this instance or any other instance. They can only access the S3. But here, whatever role we have, we can't create a new role, but whatever role is there for EC2 instance profile, we can attach to any instance which is running, or you can create the new instance. So this is the catch point here to perform the privilege escalations. So let's see now third thing which we are going to do. So first, let's think about a scenario. You can create a new instance, but you don't have a key. You have a rights to create a new instance, but you don't have a key. And you can create a key, but it's dangerous. You don't have a right. So in this case, what will be the best option? You can create a new instance. You can add the user data there. User data is the field where you have to specify the file name or the command which you want to execute when instance is start. So you can specify the reverse shell payload there. So once instance is run, you can get the reverse shell directly. So this is the first thing you can do. And second thing, suppose you got the remote code executions or RC there in one of the EC2 instances, and you can attach these roles to those EC2 instances, or the instance you got the RC. So there's a different methods you can find out. So here suppose we got the remote code execution on one of the instance, and this is the instance we got the remote code executions, and we have to attach this role to this running instance. So you can create a new instance, you can attach the role to this instance. Here this is the running instance, you can also attach this role to this instance. Let's see what profile this instance have. sts get you can see here this instance doesn't have, or no IAM role is attached to this instance, or no instance profile is attached to this instance. So first we have to identify the instance ID. So we don't know, because we found the RC, we don't know what is the instance ID this has. So you have to just call to this metadata endpoint, this instance ID endpoint, and you can get the instance ID. You can see here it's, you start from I, this is the instance ID I have. So now you have the instance ID, because it will use when you are attaching the role to this instance. Second thing is after that, what we are going to explore, what we are going to do. So let's see what are the profile it's there in this environment. So you can see here, if I doing from here, you can't, if I'm doing from here, not this one, just copy this command. Let's copy this command, let's paste it here, because this role or this instance doesn't have a rights in EC2. It's just like a standalone until you not attach any role to this one. But the key which we compromise, the user key which we compromise, have a rights to do all this information. So let's copy this one. Let's list of the information, list of the instance profiles. So you can see here, these are the instance profile name which is only attached to an instance, and this is the role which is defined there. So roles and EC2 instance profile is a similar, you have a different name, but or you can have a single profile with multiple roles. You can see here, this is the profile and this is the role attached to this one. So this role allow to EC2 services, EC2 Amazon services, and this seems like SSM role. Let's go for a next one. So this seems like we have a role. You can identify what information does this role contains. You directly copies from here, and whatever thing we have, you can get the information from there. But from this one seems like this is a EC2 instance administrator role, this instance profile here, and this is the role name. You can identify what rights does this role have using this this ARN and get this information. But what we are going to do, I have this instance profile, I know the instance ID, and you can attach the role, because I have the pass role rights. So you can see whatever role rights I have, I am pass role rights I have, so I can attach any roles. So there is no specification of the role you can attach to instance. I can attach any roles. There is star, so I'm attaching this role. Just copy this one and let's open a new tab. Let's paste it here. Let's copy this one. So this is the command which is used to attach a role to a particular EC2 instance. If instance is running, or it is if instance is stop. Let's copy this one. Let's copy this one. Not this one. Command line utility I have. Yes. So this is so you have to specify the role name or instance profile name, not the role name, instance profile name. So that should be keep in mind that, because there may be a role name and instance profile name will be a same or a different. By default, if you create a role using the console, it will be same, but if you're creating through API or CLI, it will be you can make it different or you can make it the same. So this is a role name. Now you have to specify the instance where you are going to attach this profile. So I identify the instance through metadata, and this is the instance ID I got. Let's copy here. and let's click here. Wait for, or you can see here, this role is associated with this instance profile is associated with this instance ID. Now this instance ID have this roles or this instance profile. You can see here, this is mentioned instance profile, but basically it's a role. So let's go for our instance which we compromised, and let's copy the same one, get caller identity, and you can see here the role which we specify here is attached to this instance, and now we have all the access, whatever access is mentioned in this role. Here you can see here we got that this is the instance profile which is attached to here, and here we got that this is the assumed role. So basically for in each and every instance or every service, it is basically assumed. So this service can assume this role to perform all the action of EC2 environment, or sorry, AWS environment. So let's access the S3, and you can see I do have access on all the services or the roles which is mentioned there in this profile. So similar, like using the EC2 instance, I can perform the privilege escalations. So this is how it's really important to understand about how we can misuse it. And in this case, we used, suppose we got RC, but not in the every case. So what will the best option is, you can create a new instance, you can directly attach to this one. You have to specify the metadata, user data, and in user data you can specify the reverse shell code. So when instance is launched, it's running, you will get the reverse shell if you don't have a key to access the instance, you don't have a password. So this is how you can perform the different actions. Here also you can get the temporary token and configure your CLI to access all these things, whatever rights we have. Because why? Because in this scenario, maybe you have a limited time for rights to access the instance. They can remove your rights or remove your access, or they can shut down the instance, or whatever reason is there. But the other case, you can create a temporary token, you can request for a new token each and every time, and you can get all the access through your CLIs which is there in your local machine. So this is how you can perform the privilege escalations. So this is all about this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you.